Lori, and I'm going to show you how to make a delicious gluten-free pie crust. I was in the mood for something fall, and what better than a pie? So already I've put in a cup of gluten-free flour, and I actually need 1 1/3 cup. So I'm going to lightly spoon my flour into my measuring cup, and then scrape the top off so that it doesn't get packed down in and I get the actual correct measurement. So I have 1 1/3 cup gluten-free flour in here. My favorite blends are Tom Sawyer and Pamela's and Bob's Red Mill. For pie crust, I use either a Tom Sawyer blend or Pamela's flour blend. Next, I'm going to add in 1 stick of salted, a lot of people use unsalted, but I like salt, salted butter chopped into at least 8 pieces. Sometimes I chunk it into even tinier pieces. That just kind of helps it get going. But it needs to be cold. You need also a tablespoon of sugar, just regular white table sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just sprinkle that in. We're going to put the lid on. Move back, honey. I have 4 kids, just in case you couldn't tell. We're going to put it into the food processor and just chop it. Pulse and pulse. This needs to be about fine cracker. You want to come over here and get a shot of the consistency? My oldest daughter is helping me video this. Look down in there. So you get a fine cracker meal going. Here you go, sweetie. And then what we're going to do is you need ice water. And it's very important that you have ice water, not lukewarm, anything like that. You're going to turn this on, and while it's running, you're going to start streaming in water. It doesn't take very much. The second that you see little balls start forming, you stop adding the water and you let this run for a minute. And what I actually do is I pour in a little bit of water and I stop it, and then I pulse 2 or 3 times, and that allows the gluten-free flour to just kind of get wet. It works very differently than flours with gluten. So you're going to see what I mean in just a second. Here we go. I have a fan. And what happened is that I added just the right amount of water. It takes practice, but you'll get it quickly. You don't want it too wet. And then you're going to take it off. It will ball up all together. Get that extra off of there.
Yeah, because
and there you have there you have a gluten-free pie crust ready to go. And this one is actually a little bit wet, so when I go to roll it out, I'm going to add a lot of extra flour to my mat and my rolling pin, and I'm going to flour this a lot. But you can pat it out into a disc and put it, I shouldn't have done that yet, I'll put it on my butter plate. And you can put it on a piece of saran wrap and keep it for later. One interesting thing about gluten-free pie crust is that it does not need to be refrigerated for any amount of time before you use it, like traditional pie crusts do. In fact, what I've learned in my experience is if you have your pie crust too cold, it's going to fall apart. Your very important things to remember about a gluten-free pie crust are don't let it stick, so you need to add extra flour, and don't handle it too much. So when you're rolling it out, which I'll show you in a minute, you're not going to handle it too terribly much. We're just going to roll it, flour it, roll it, and then put it in our pie pan. Okay, now we're going to roll out the pie crust, and I've patted it down. I've gotten my gluten-free flour blend all on here and covering my rolling pin. I'm going to gently roll forward and back, and you're not going to let it get too big before you're going to flip it. You have to do it very delicately. You want to recover flour all over your surface. You can do this on a countertop, or I just have my old school Tupperware mat. But the flour underneath is extremely important so that it doesn't stick. Okay. I have my pie crust here. My pie crust is all ready to go, and I'm going to put it into my pie pan. I'm going to gently fold it in half. And if you haven't handled it and it's not too wet and not too cold, it's not going to fall apart. I have battled this beast for so long. Pie crusts were the bane of my existence when I first started being gluten-free about 5.5 years ago. But we have success. It went into the pan and we're ready to fill it. And there you have it. A perfect gluten-free pie crust. And they bake up fluffy and crusty and wonderful. Y'all have a great day.